In our last video, we were talking about the most commonly used Incoterms. But if you're a buyer, which would be the best trade term to use when asking for quotations from your suppliers? If you're not familiar with Incoterms, make sure you watch our previous video. Otherwise, a lot of the things that we'll be talking about over here will not make sense. There are many tutorials out there suggesting either to use DDP or FOB. Sure, using DDP, short for delivery duty paid, might seem like a great idea if you're a beginner. You get a price that includes delivery to your door, and you don't need to worry about anything else. But if you ask your suppliers to quote you based on this method, you might end up overpaying, because shipping prices change all the time, so your supplier will add a more significant margin to the end price to cover for any shipping fluctuations. However, if the supplier is shipping a lot of cargo every month to the same destinations as your goods are going, they might be able to get a better deal than you. So you can compare between getting a DDU or a DDP price or even an ex-works price. Another method many advise to use is FOB, which is free on board. As you probably know, the supplier needs to support all the charges to get the products on board the vessel. As we said before, this delivery method is used for sea shipments. So regardless of the quantities of goods being exported, there will always be a minimum cost associated with export procedures. So that will be calculated in your product's unit price. Now, let's say you start with orders of 1,000 units of a product every time. The supplier will calculate their FOB costs based on 1,000 units of product. Let's say on future orders, you will be increasing your order quantities to 3,000 or 5,000. Many times the export costs might not vary too much or at all for higher quantities. So you might end up paying more than you should because the supplier calculated their export costs based on your initial quantity of 1,000 pieces. Or it could be the other way around. You might decrease your quantities and then your supplier will tell you, sorry, we can't give you the same price anymore because on your previous orders, we calculated our costs based on 1,000 pieces. Like we said in other videos, it's always a good idea to ask your suppliers for quotations with a breakdown for different quantities. But you must also know that for FOB, the same as DDP, your supplier will add on margins to the price to cover for any fluctuations in export costs. Also, if you're not sure if you'll be shipping your goods by sea or air or any other delivery method, it's not a good idea to ask for an FOB quote. Let's say you end up shipping your products with an express company, like FedEx, UPS, or DHL. In that case, the shipping cost will be door to door. So there are no additional export taxes that the supplier will need to pay. But if you ask for an FOB price, the supplier already added those costs to your unit price. Many buyers, including big corporations, prefer getting their quotes on their FOB terms because the supplier covers all export procedures. So they can just focus on all the costs to the final destination. So, if you're booking the shipment yourself, a problem we have seen is that forwarders sometimes will quote the customer a really low price from the port of origin to the destination in order to get the business. But they will pass on the difference to the supplier in the FOB costs. So the FOB charges that your forwarder will collect from your supplier might be higher than usual. Each supplier may handle this differently. Some might complain to the customer and say, hey, look, these fees are much higher than what we usually pay. Or some might be anticipating this and quote the customer a higher price to cover for this. In the end, it still comes out of your own pocket. And this could also happen the other way around. If your supplier books the shipment through their forwarder and they give you a CIF or CFR price, as you know, that means the supplier is responsible for all the costs till the goods reach the destination port. Everything after that, like terminal charges, custom clearance, and transportation to the final destination, are the buyer's responsibility. So the supplier's forwarder might give them a low price for their part, the CIF costs, in order to attract their business, and then pass on the difference to you, the customer. And if it would be just the difference, that would be fine. But we've seen cases where forwarders collected very exaggerated local charges at the destination from the consignee. This is valid especially for consolidated or LCO shipments, where you will have to settle local charges at the port of destination with the supplier's forwarder, or better said, their agent at the port of destination. For full container shipments, that is not too big of a problem because you could use any customs broker you want. But in any case, make sure you have the supplier put your customs broker's details on the bill of lading at the notification party. Because if you're dealing with a shady forwarder, you may run into problems. Also, if you're ordering a full container, better make sure you get the master BL and not a house BL. So if you do ask your supplier to deliver under CIF or CFR terms, make sure you ask them to give you an estimate of the local charges and the delivery port from their forwarder. Or even better, they could send you the contact details of the agent that you will have to deal with at the arrival port, the better. And you can contact them in advice and know who you will have to deal with for local charges at the destination port. This is valid especially for LCL shipments. For full containers, you can just use your own customs broker. But if you want to save yourself headaches and have total control over the whole shipping process from the factory to your door, we recommend you ask your suppliers to quote you ex-works prices. So this means you have to arrange the whole shipping process from your supplier's warehouse all the way to your door. For someone that doesn't have experience, this might seem complicated at first, but the advantage is that you have total control over delivery times, pricing, and it makes the whole process smoother both for yourself and the seller. It's worth noting that the supplier has no obligation to clear customs at export under this trade term. So this means that as a buyer, you should A, check in advance with your freight forwarder and see if they can arrange buying any customs bonds and or arrange customs clearance for you at the port of export. Or B, check in advance with your supplier and see if they can clear customs at the port of export for you. And many times this should not be a problem unless it's a supplier that doesn't have an export license. Otherwise, they would be more than happy to do it for you at no additional cost. It's just a matter of providing an export license and some simple documentation. And in many countries, a company with an export license might have to provide a customs release note when filing their taxes to justify foreign payments anyways. So they should not have any problem to clear customs for you at export. In case your supplier cannot help you with this, then like we said at point A, talk with your freight forwarder and see if they can arrange any customs bonds and customs clearance at the port of departure. One other thing worth mentioning would be try to develop a long-term partnership with a customs broker to handle all your imports. Once you found a customs broker that you can trust and you think is the most efficient in handling your imports, it's best not to switch to avoid any surprises. Which delivery term do you usually use for shipments? Please let us know in the comments below. And please give the video a like if you found the content useful. And if you haven't yet, subscribe for more awesome tutorials. Thank you for watching and see you next time.